Hi everybody, thanks for joining us for this kind of different Hangout on Air. So we have actually class members that some of you may recognize from Piazza Post joining us, and those of you out on YouTube, you can still type in questions on Piazza and ask us questions. Even your classmates can try to help answer some of these. So what will happen mainly is I'm going to do a little bit of an overview of what's going on with the course. And Jonathan and Jake will help answer some questions about programming, things that may be coming up. And we're going to ask Jake then to show, first I'll give an example of what we're going to do with the homework, and then Jake will show you what he did as a sample example of a homework submission, okay? So we actually right now have the first homework live on the course. If you're on the course website, you can go and watch that. And or look at that link that will take you to the course description. So the first thing I want to mention is what happens over the next few weeks. So we are about 4 days behind in the course, where the Unit 3 summary has been posted on Piazza with Units 3.1 and lessons 3.1 and 3.2 already posted, so you can look at those lessons. And we're posting 3.3 through 3.5 over the next few days. This is the most challenging unit of the entire course. You cannot just look at these videos and think you can go answer the quizzes. You have to spend some time, more time than in the past, on these Unit 3 lessons because they're actually programming. You're learning a skill in these. So you have to pause the videos and do some of the exercises. Next Friday, we will release the midterm. So right now, we're releasing the first homework, and the midterm will be released next Friday. What will happen, we'll take a 2 weeks break. We will not be releasing any new, we'll be rolling out lessons 3 and finishing lesson 2, unit 2, but we will not be starting anything for the next 2 weeks. So it's kind of like a little vacation for everybody to catch up and start on your homework. We will begin unit 4 on July 6th. That's mainly for here in Alabama. We have 50 of our teachers coming in for face-to-face professional development next week. So we'll be with all those teachers. We'll still be checking the Piazza site, but we will not be doing any Hangouts next week. Unless maybe we can talk Jake into doing a couple, because he won't be here with us at that. So we will take that week of break, and then we'll take the week of that last week of June into July 4th. That'll also be a break. So that's kind of an outline of where the course is headed. So I want to take a second to go over and show to you what the Create PT homework looks like. So I'm going to do a little bit of a screen share. I'm just checking. Can you all see the screen share now okay?
Yep.
Okay. So if you look at the, if you go to the course and you look at the, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3 at the very bottom, there should now be a live link to the Create Performance task. And this will be the homework that you'll submit for the course to get the certificate. And if you go to the link, it will take you out to this Google Drive. It's the same location actually as you probably have seen before, where we have all the unit slides, our exams, quizzes, lesson plans, all that. There's just a new folder here now called Create PT. So inside of the Create PT folder, there is a PDF called Create PT, and that's your homework assignment. So I'm going to click on this right now. And what this homework assignment does is it actually takes a large percentage of the actual Create PT that students do in CS Principles and customizes it for you. The real PT, Create PT has a part where it's collaborative, where you're sharing with, or you're doing part of a project with a classmate. We've removed that, and we're just focusing on the individual part. So you can see some preface there at the text at the top. I hope you can still see this PDF. If not, you can go click on it yourself. And then we have the assignment being today and the due date being July 17th. Now, we've been known to accommodate some late requests, so we might do that, but try to get that in if you can on time. So there's a little bit of an overview there on the general requirements and the program requirements. What you're going to do in this program is to create a SNAP program that accomplishes a few things, and those are outlined here in this program requirements. Your program needs to demonstrate the use of numbers, text, variables, different kinds of statements, mathematical expressions. Your program must have at least 5 if-else statements and 3 loops. So if you've never programmed before, you may not know what those are, but we'll be talking about those in Unit 3, actually in the next lesson. So you need to demonstrate the idea of abstraction, and we'll talk about that moving through in 4. So some of the things that are on this right now may not make much sense, but you'll be seeing some of this as we unveil Unit 3. So this is just giving you an outline here in the program requirements of the things that we expect in your program. Now, if you do not like Snap or you know another language and you would like to try to do your Create PT in another language, Python or something else, Alice, that's fine. We just ask you to send us an email. So there's a note at the bottom of the first page asking for you to tell us about that. So one part of your assignment will be to create a video. So it's just 1 minute maximum, and this video will provide some evidence that your program actually runs. So it will display a successful running program and illustrate 2 features of the program. You have to create this and submit it as a YouTube link. So that's one part of the assignment. So you have to actually do the actual program. So that's part B. You'll write a Snap program with these rules, and then you'll show a video of that working, and then you have an individual reflection on the program and the progress. So you will tell us a bit about your program. You'll reflect back on what you learned and talk a bit about some of the things that went into your program. Now, the way that you'll submit your program is you will go to this tiny URL. Let me click on this real quick. Oh, page not found. That's not right. Okay, let me go. That's embarrassing. I thought I set this up. CSP4HS. Oh, I didn't do the whole thing. Well, anyway, maybe we have to pull that out of the actual text. Something is not working with this PDF. Okay, there we go. So you can't click on the PDF, or the link in the PDF. You have to copy it out. This is where you will submit your homework. You'll give us your name, first name, last name, the email address that you've been using for your quizzes, and you'll show us how where your Snap program is located. We'll tell you later how to share that, and where your document is. So we're hoping that you'll go out and create a Google Doc, and the way you submit your homework is just by sending to us the URLs or the websites that point out to your program, your shared document, and your video. And we'll be available to answer questions about this on the Hangouts and also on Piazza. But that's the place where you submit your program, and that's available if you actually copy this site right here. Okay? So the learning objectives, these are the things that are coming from the big ideas 1, 2, 4, and 5 that this programming assignment highlights. So again, before you teach CS principles and do this create performance task, we think it's very useful for you to try that yourself. So this is just an initial homework assignment that gives you some experience in doing that yourself. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop my screen share and just stop for a moment and see if we have any questions coming in. Jonathan, do we have any questions coming in on Piazza, or if any of our live audience members have questions? Any live members here that are on video have any questions about the description of the create performance task so far? So there's no Piazza questions yet. I know everyone hasn't had a chance to digest what this document says, but maybe we'll move on a little bit. Was everybody okay with hearing me? Was my internet all right? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass it off to Jake. So what we've done, I've just told you a bit about the video, and then I'm going to mute you so that we can don't have feedback. So I told you a bit about the Create PT, and so to help you understand what goes into this, Jake has actually done an example of what we're looking for. So he's taken in a game called Snappy Bird. If you've ever played Flappy Bird before, this is the Snappy Bird version, and he's done all of those parts of the Create PT. Let us just clarify first. This particular homework that Jake's done is far beyond what we're expecting from you all to do. He spent a lot of months on this, or time on this, over many weeks, and it's just a detailed example, but he has done all of the different parts of the assignment. So we're not expecting you to create a program at this level of detail, but we are using this example to show you what we're looking for in the submission. So Jake, if you could unmute your mic and then screen share and take off and show everybody what you got.
Okay, I think this is the right one. All right, so in the Create PT folder that Dr. Gray showed you how to get to, there's a folder called Snappy Bird example, and this is where we have the example Snappy Bird homework for everyone to see. And so we have all the individual parts of it. We have, well, I'll get to the program first. Inside this folder called tutorial, we actually have a document outlining how one could actually recreate this particular example step by step if that's desired. And also in this document at the very beginning, there is a link to the actual working example. And so here it's shown now. It's all built in Snap, and we've got several sprites, and the blocks are commented, and they fit all the necessary specifications for the Create PT homework. They've got the right number of loops, if statements, and everything. And I guess I'll go ahead and just show it running. This is the final product for the example. Basically just like Flappy Bird, but in Snap. So, great. And so that's the running program, and the link to that is in the tutorial PDF right there. And if we go down a step again, we have the other necessary parts of the Create PT. We have the all the code as a PDF. I copied and pasted it. Sorry, having some trouble with this. And so I just went through and I used some screenshotting program to copy all the code here, just like the Create PT outlines. Additionally, I have the reflection essay that has all the parts of the reflection essay that were specified in the Create PT document. I quoted those, and then I put my example answer to those. And finally, we have the videos showing the actual execution of the program, just like you would have to create for your own example. So I'm not sure. I guess I'll play this. Could you guys see and hear this?
Does it have any sound?
No, unfortunately, we're not getting any sound from that video.
No, you're not?
No.
Okay. Well, that's yeah.
That would be posted up for them to look at.
Okay, yeah. That's all in the folder, so you can look at that at your liberty. So should I?
Yeah. So
that's good.
yeah. So what Jake is showing right now on the screen is what would submit as your homework. So you would submit a 1-minute video that shows your program running. He has 2 examples there, one with voice, one without voice. You would then also submit your Snappy Bird reflection and show us your code. And he has, yeah, so that would be like a Google Doc that you would create, or share something on Dropbox. However you want to do it, you would just send us a URL that would point to this essay. And this is described further back in the Create PT homework assignment again. And this is exactly what high school students all over the country are doing. They're doing this exact same program. We're only doing the solo part. We're not doing the collaborative part where they work in teams. But much of the text that you see right there is straight from the performance task. We just customized it a little bit for you to be able to do this in a solo version. Jake, if I can take over the screen again.
Yep.
Okay, so let me just set up again what it is that you do to do this performance task. So I'm going to go out to the actual course webpage. What is it? CSP4HS, appspot.com. So this is just the main course page that I'm going to. I'm hoping you can all see this. Is that visible?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the web page you should be used to seeing. Oh, this isn't going to work because I don't have. Well, I'm not registered. I'm on a different browser. So if you come now to the course page, you should see the Create Performance task available. And when you click on that performance task, it should take you over to, where's it at now? Yep. I'm sorry. Let's see. It should take us to the wrong spot. I am clicking on, that's no good. Yeah, I want to go out to my Google Drive here where we all are. Let me, so just close your eyes for a minute, pretend I'm not doing this. If you actually, you can see all the dirty details here of our setup. But if you click on the link out on the main course page, it'll take you to this Create PT folder. And this is exactly what we've been going over again. So go to the main course page, click on the link to the Create PT. That will take you to this folder. And this folder contains at the top level the actual homework assignment. So download that and print it off or look at it closely. And then the Snappy Bird example is Jake's sample solution for his homework assignment done for you to look at. So everything's there. You can look at all of his source code on how he did Snappy Bird. You can look at the videos and reflective essay. So we just want to make sure that we not only gave you the homework assignment, but we also gave you an example. Again, to be very clear, the level of Snappy Bird is much more than what we're expecting from you all to do in the month we gave you. Okay, so don't feel intimidated by looking at Snappy Bird and looking at how much detail went into that. We don't. It may be really impressive if some of you did that equivalent kind of project, but it's a little bit beyond what we're expecting. But we wanted to give you something that had some detail to it. So I'm going to stop my screen share here. So let me just open it up to those who are online with us. So we have I don't know, 6 or 7 classmates of yours here who have their videos and on and some mics muted. Anyone on our panel have questions? Just go ahead and unmute your mic and speak to us if you have a question. So I think Myra had the question, are we all running the Snappy Bird program? And no, so the Snappy Bird program is just an example. You're all writing your own programs, so we want you to be creative and do what you like to do. We're not telling you what program to write. So we want to make sure that you write your program. The Snappy Bird is just an example. So it's showing you the things that we'd like to collect from you, the video, the reflective essay, and the actual program itself. And then furthermore, the Snappy Bird example is instructive when we go into the Unit 3 of programming because it actually also has a pretty detailed example. And if you go into the tutorial for Snappy Bird, it's about 30 pages long, and it's really detailed. And your students could, also play around with that and build their own Snappy Bird by following along with Jake's instructions. So the Snappy Bird example is twofold. It's a really detailed example of a Snap program, but yet Jake went ahead and completed it as if he was doing the Create PT, so you could see what that would look like. Again, at a level beyond what we might expect you to do for this course, but nonetheless something for you to have access to. All right, Jonathan, do we have any Piazza questions?
I just had a couple come in.
Okay. Anyone else online here? You all are being shy?
We have Carol was wondering if we could submit the video via Google Doc share rather than just a YouTube video.
Right, so if you want to actually create a Google Doc like folder and put your video in there, that's fine too. That's actually kind of what Jake did. Jake doesn't have a YouTube there. He actually put the I don't know, the MP4 files or something there in a folder. So that would be fine. Just any way for us to be able to access, because if you do YouTube, you have to have a YouTube channel. So it might be better, actually, maybe we could revise or clarify this later on Piazza. However you can get the video to us without downloading to us, a 20 megabyte file. If you want to put it in Dropbox or Google Drive and share your Google Drive folder, that's also fine. All right, Ann, Barbara, Bill, Lisa, Myra, do you have any questions? You all being shy? Okay, Jonathan, any more questions out there on Piazza?
We have a couple questions from Margaret, which I'm looking at now.
All right, well, while you're doing that, let me go ahead and answer a question that came in from Ann.
Okay.
So Ann's asking, is it okay to use Scratch? So let me just show something here. Let me just do a screen share one more time. Can you all see my screen again? If I look in this example, I'm hoping you all can see it. At the bottom of the first page, there's this note. It says, it's highly recommended that you use Snap, but if you want to use some other language, that's fine by us. We just ask you to write. I guess if you're doing it in Scratch, you don't have to write to us. That's fine. You just need to share your Scratch program with us. But you can use a language other than Snap. That's fine. We just ask you, if it's something like Python or C++ or something, please email it or email us first. Ann, does that help? Processing's fine. I'm not sure how you share processing. I'm assuming you can just send a URL to us. So processing would be great too. A lot of these typical environments that you'll find in CS Principles work, and that's the beauty of CS Principles. They're not fixed by any specific language. Like the current CSA exam has to be in Java. You probably don't want to pick some really esoteric language because I'm not sure how that will work with the AP readers, but whatever your favorite language of this kind of style would be. All right, Jonathan, you just typed in another question. Will the students be required to use a large data set for the Create PT? There's no data set required for Create PT. The Create PT is really just about a programming example. So it could be anything. It could be you create an animated movie from your thing. You could create some kind of video game. You could create some kind of educational tool or educational program. Like it could be something for multiplication for young children. It's up to you how you do. Large data sets, we used to have a performance task called Investigate, which no longer exists, that was tied to big data, and that did have a requirement of a data set. But the Create PT, as far as I understand, does not require a data set. Jonathan, can you read some of these off for us that are coming in?
Yeah, so Margaret was asking if the teachers dictate the collaborative method. So when the students are working together on the project, how they actually do the programming, whether it's pair programming or dividing things out or so forth.
Right, so pair programming is an important part of that. There's also some restrictions on time and how that's done, and we'll have Deepa come on at one point and describe that, and we'll get into more detail on that. With the Create PT we're asking you to do, we're just asking you for this course to do the solo part, but in the real class, there is the collaborative part. So part of the actual time in class will be spent. You'll devote actual full days, up to a certain number of hours. I'm trying to remember the actual the hours have changed for the Create PT, but you have to actually provide in class a certain number of hours for your students to work on the collaborative part and the solo part of the PT. So I'm not sure how I answered that, but if it's a question of pair programming or whatever, yes, your students will be working together, and I don't think we dictate how that works or how they resolve that, but there will be a collaborative solution in addition to the one you're doing here. We just won't work on that for this course. So Myra has a question. The big data was removed from the assessment. There was a performance task called Investigate that was removed last year, but there's still big data. There's still data questions. I'm going to say big data. I'm going to say there's a big idea of data information, And as far as I'm understanding, there's still going to be multiple choice assessment questions on that. And if you look at the curriculum framework, that purple kind of looking thing that we introduced in lesson 1.5, there's actual sample questions about data in there. Okay, Jonathan, any other questions coming in? I'm seeing a few more. I can hear a little bit.
So Daniel's asking if making the video is a part of Snap or if there's a preferred tool to use when making the video.
Right. So this tool for Windows or others, it's open source, called Screencast-O-Matic, I think, is one that a lot of people use. We'll have at our face-to-face next week, Jeff Baker, some of you met, who does some of our Hangouts on air. Jeff will give a talk on Screencast-O-Matic that we're actually video recording. So I just want to just kind of take a time out and say next week when we do our professional development, we'll have professional videographers here who are filming some of that, and we'll also share that out with you. So if you can't be here for our face-to-face professional development, we will also be giving those videos out. And one is how to use one of these screen tools. Other popular tools are like Camtasia is a commercial tool. I think I'm not a Mac person, but I think Macs already have like some kind of easily built-in screen capturing video tool, right? So we don't dictate what you use. We just want to have about a 1-minute video to do that. Now, if you're not familiar with that, what we can do, you can request special Hangouts on air. You know, you can say, hey, if enough people are saying, I don't know how to do this video, can we have a special session? We could ask like Jeff Baker to come on and do a special Hangout on air, or do a Hangout or a Hangout on air for you all, and he can just go through a demo of that. So feel free to make requests like that. We want to make sure that the Hangouts and the Hangouts on air are really helpful to you. Related to that, we just also announced Project Lead the Way. We'll be giving a talk on July 7th, I think, or July 6th. So we'll be announcing that as well on another Hangout on air. So I don't know if I answered that question. If not, please let me know. CamStudio, Myra says, is free. So those are other kind of tools that you can use to capture. I mean, it takes a little bit of time maybe to learn those tools, but those will be things you can use.
So from Piazza, we've got Michael asking if there's an offline version of Snap.
There's an older version of Snap called BYOB, Build Your Own Blocks, and you can go and download the. I think the Berkeley still has the Build Your Own Blocks. Standalone version you can download and install, say, on Windows, and use that instead of having to go over the internet. It's an older version, but it still has many of the similar kinds of ideas as well.
I also found another way to do that. I found a link, a Stack Overflow question asking about the same thing, that gives you a step-by-step guide on how to save the actual website to your desktop and run it from your desktop locally. I can share that link if is wanted. Check that on the Piazza.
You probably, I don't know if it's running on JavaScript or whatever it's running, you probably just save all that and just run it locally. That's probably too much for some of our those on the course who've not programmed before, but for those of you who've done that, Jake can share how to run Snap locally. We also have a video by Dan Garcia, who's kind of leader of the Beauty and Joy of Computing, and he comes on and talks about that curriculum in Snap, and we'll share that video out with you as well. Any other questions coming up?
All right. Denise wants to know if the course assumes that the student is already proficient in Snap.
No. So when you're teaching CS principles, there should be no assumption of any prior programming experience. And the challenge we have in this course is we only have 6 weeks with you, so we have to do programming in really 1 week, and it's really challenging to get that skill sort of out to you. So Unit 3 will be the hardest. You need to spend more time on there, like pausing and rewinding videos and watching those. I don't assume you know Snap, but Unit 3 will be challenging, and you need to spend a little bit of extra time on that unit. But you should not assume, if you're teaching this course, that your students already know how to program. One thing to say, if you're teaching this for the first time and you don't have a deep programming background, don't feel bad if some of your students come in and actually, have a little bit better programming proficiency than you do. So this is kind of an interesting course. Just kind of embrace that and actually use those students as helpers in the course, or don't feel bad about that. You just don't have that experience yet. But with some practice, we'll get that developed. And I think many of those in the course who are brand new to programming would probably teach this to your students much better than I would, because I assume too much, right? So if you're a new learner to programming, you probably have a lot of the detailed steps in your head that I might even jump around and just assume. So I think many of you who've never programmed before make better teachers of programming to first learners than I would, because I'm just assuming some things that you all, if you're just learning it yourself, would be able to articulate better. Any other piazzas coming in?
So Kathy asked if all the software required will be free to do the assignment.
Yes, there's nothing in CS Principles that can cost money. I mean, you can actually use textbooks like Blown to Bits people use for free. All these environments, from Scratch to Snap to Alice, processing, all these things are free. So there's no cost to the programming environments. And then we get into data. If you want to look at spreadsheets, you can actually use Google Docs spreadsheets. So you could really run this whole course with no cost if you wanted to, and many people do. So I also see a question over by Ann about is there a finalized curriculum for CSP? From my understanding, the purple curriculum framework that you saw in Unit 1.5, it's pretty stable. It's pretty, I think it's almost set in stone from what I understand from my interaction with the College Board. So I think you can go with the curriculum framework, assuming that's really fixed. What I anticipate seeing a change in is some rewording of the performance tasks. This happened last year, and my guess is it'll happen again. So the pilot teachers are meeting in the summer for that, and my guess is we'll see some slight changes to performance tasks, but nothing really drastic. The big drastic change last year is one of the performance tasks totally went away. We used to have 3 performance tasks. Now we're down to 2. So the curriculum itself, the purple curriculum framework, I think is stable, but you may see some changes to the performance tasks. This is just my opinion. I'm not speaking for the College Board. Jonathan, anything else you're seeing coming across?
No, I'm not seeing any other questions come in.
Everybody's being shy. No one wants to turn their microphones on. I'm going to pick some of you out. I know who you are. I actually follow some of you on Twitter, so I'm going to call a few of you out next time if we do this. So no more on YouTube. I'm trying to see if I missed anything. All right, well, this was kind of fun. We just thought it would be neat to bring you all on. Hoping you all would talk a little more. But we'll maybe do this again. What will happen, I'm going to chat with Jake and see if he might be open to doing a hangout or 2 next week while we're in our face-to-face. My guess is over Unit 3 there's going to be a lot of programming questions. I don't know how to do this or how to do that, and some of them we can answer fairly quickly. So we would encourage you to post programming questions out on Piazza, and we can answer those, and we'll try to see if Jake can do a hangout for us. I'm not sure what his plans are, so I'm probably speaking too soon on that for him.
So before you go, can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is Barbara. I did type a question. Maybe it didn't come through. I just wanted to know, because after listening to Lynn and everything that's going to be on the CSP, the AP, is it going to be longer than the regular APs, or is it going to be the same length of time?
You mean like the multiple choice exam part?
Yeah, and Well, what about the creative? I wasn't quite sure how that's.
Right. From my understanding, the assessment, the online assessment's not any longer. I mean, I could be speaking, but I think that's going to be either shorter or the same. But what will happen if they follow the same model for the performance task? You will submit that online at the end of the course. So at the end, in May or whenever your course ends, your students will submit these live things they've been developing over the school year. Those will get submitted as part of the input into their AP score. And then
Okay, so it's like art history then, kind of like you do the portfolio.
Studio art. Like Studio Art has a portfolio. In fact, these used to be called portfolio items.
Okay.
You know, those of us in the pilot phases, we used to call these our portfolio tasks, and then they changed it to performance tasks. So, yeah, very much like Studio Art AP. Throughout the year, the students will be creating artifacts that will be submitted, and then they'll also be taking an online exam. Tamara was talking about that they added the multiple choice part of APCSA. They added some time to that. To be honest, a lot of this is really new. I mean, we won't know some of this stuff until it hits. So there's going to be kind of a wait and see. So that when that first exam comes out in May 2017, we'll be able to see a little bit more of that. But some of this, I'm not sure. Some of this will evolve a little bit.
Thank you.
Okay, Michael joined us. Michael, you have a question? No one. Barbara asked a question. You have any questions, Michael?
I put a question on Piazza.
That first exam comes out. If you're on YouTube, can you please turn your YouTube off? We have a 1-minute delay on YouTube.
Okay.
It's kind of like being a caller on a radio show, and the radio show has a 30-second delay, and you're listening to that. Okay, Michael joined us. Michael, you have a question? No one. Barbara asked a question. You have any questions, Michael?
I posted a question that on Piazza. It's on Piazza.
Okay, if you're on YouTube. Okay, Jonathan, can you grab Michael's question on Piazza?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Sorry. So he was asking, familiar with Snap? Have never got the sensing and operations. So we'll be spending time on that. Can we discuss some of that now?
In our course, we won't. So the sensing part allows Snap to be written to utilize other devices. So, for example, if you wanted to have your Snap interact with one of the Xbox, what's the camera on Xbox?
Kinect.
Yeah, the Kinect. So if you can there's like a Kinect thing where you could do Snap or hook up a robot or something. So we will not go into that level of detail. Our goal in this course is to just get you some programming fundamentals. And some of you who already know programming really deeply, some of this might be boring, but there may be some things along the way that might be interesting or useful in a CSP context. But yeah, we won't be going over sensing in here. We will show you at the end where you can go and grab information about a lot of this stuff. In terms of that kind of capability, though, we'll have Jake later show you something called Spherely, which is something he's been working on, which allows you to use block languages to program Sphero robots. And he also has something called Pixely, where you can use a block language to manipulate pixels on the screen. If you're familiar with the media computation efforts at Georgia Tech, you can write red eye removal in block languages. And he also has something called Tunely, where you can manipulate songs using a block language. So maybe Jake will talk about that later. All right. So Michael got his question. I'm not sure Michael's question was answered as deeply as he may have wanted, but we're not going to do the sensing part.
Okay. Margaret was asking, so when she's teaching CSP this year, and she has juniors, will they be allowed to participate in the Create PT and then take the exam the next year?
Yeah, that's one I probably shouldn't talk about. So that's coming up a lot, and I don't want to really speak. That's a college board question that I don't want to get into. Let me, Jonathan, if you'll help remind me, I'll ask Lynn and others at college board about that, and I'll post that out because we've been hearing that question a lot. I'm sure it's common, but I don't want to officially speak for the college board. So I'll get that answered to you. It might take me a few days, but we'll post that out on Piazza. It's come up a few times. So sorry, I'm not want to answer something I'm not authorized to, but we'll get you the answer. Are there official? So Bill's asking, are there official and unofficial pilot sites? Is it possible for an unofficial pilot site to have student results evaluated? Yes, there are official pilot sites. There's probably 3 or 4 of us that are university sites, and there's, I don't know, 50 or more high school sites. and we're meeting in July. There's we meet twice a year, and we do submit all of our syllabus, our pacing guides, and all of our student information. As far as I know, there's no way for an unofficial site to have their student data evaluated. But here's one of the things I want to share with you that might be helpful, though, in that regard. Next week at our face-to-face PD, Deepa will be, Deepa has some insights. Also, she's been a piloter for a long time and also on the development committee. She's going to have a session for us where she'll take a rubric and she will show how to evaluate a student sample. Again, this is according to her own kind of intuition, but she's going to do that for some of our teachers, and we hope to be able to record that and share that out with you. That's going to take a little bit of production time. We'll shoot these videos next week. We're not going to have them out for you that same week. It takes some time to do these videos, so we're hoping that by the end of the course we might even do a bonus unit where we have a collection of all these videos that our own teachers and came about from also with our face-to-face. So the rubrics are online. I believe there are rubrics online. They're on the AP site, or the apcsprinciples.org, or are they on the College Board other site? I believe I have them. I'm trying to remember how I got them. So it could be because I'm on the pilot, but I think they're actually the site that Andy Kimmel runs or moderates that he was discussing a few weeks ago. They may be out there. I can't confirm that right now. I know I've seen them somewhere. Jonathan, if you can help me track some of these questions, I'll do a follow-up once I know the answer for sure. Any other questions?
So I'm really curious about something. Taking this course, really interesting, and I know that I keep hearing from some of the Hangouts, etc., that one of the reasons behind the course was to get more women and students of color involved in computer science. My only concern, I'm at a school which is 90% Latino, 8% African American, and we've made it so that we have all of our students go through an engineering as well as now a computer science course. My thing is, as soon as the students hear the idea of AP, they actually shy away from it, as opposed to saying, for instance, we do Project Lead the Way engineering, and all of our kids take it. They don't shy away from it. They know it's there. Mm-hmm. We're doing TEALS computer science, which uses the BYOB right now, but we don't have enough manpower to put everybody in. I would love to have this course, but I don't know if I would want to institute it as an AP. So can you kind of talk to me about that and maybe talk me out of how I feel? I think it's great because we have so many kids that are so creative and they love to explore, but when they hear AP, they just kind of die out. Right.
I mean, kind of maybe I'm just talking off the top of my head. So maybe it's an advertising thing, and you call the course something slightly different. I mean, Project Lead the Way calls this CSE. It's not even called CS Principles per se outright. And Ben and Brown will be talking from Project Lead the Way that first week of July, so you'll be able to see what Project Lead the Way has going in that as well. So you could call it, follow the curriculum and maybe kind of shy away from the AP label. I personally wouldn't recommend that, but I would try to explain and convince otherwise why that might be useful, because maybe they're afraid there's a certain level of rigor attached to it, or I'm not, we have students taking this class. We have students in Alabama taking this course who would never typically be in another AP course. So we're excited to see that. It's kind of introducing the concepts of AP or what AP might be. So that's kind of a positive thing, we think, that in many of the communities we're in and the schools we're in, we're seeing students. We're also seeing several of our career tech centers. We actually have physical career tech centers that are separated from our high schools, and the high school students are bussed in the career tech centers, and there's not a single AP course in the career tech center aside from this upcoming course. So those teachers in those schools are really excited because they now have an AP course, and they're able to bring in students who may not have gone to the Career Tech Center in the past because there was an AP there. So you could also play the AP to an advantage. I don't know. I'm trying to think how to advertise that, but I think I know what you're saying.
Me. I think hearing you say that there are students in Alabama who've done this, and I just I know it's new and it'll be new for us, and not me per se, but I know sometimes my board, kind of shies away from that and get worried. Every AP that we offer here, and we have 9, I require all students who take an AP to take the AP exam. And that was one of the things that the butting head with the board about. But I think it's really important in the rigor. But I just want to make sure that, when it goes out and it does have the AP, that it doesn't. My students know they're going to have to do it, but I'm just concerned about other students in South LA.
Yeah, and what's really been exciting for us, I can report our numbers. You asked about diversity. Last year, we had 47% of our students in Alabama were either young women or underrepresented minorities, and mostly African American students. We are actually teaching CS principals in schools that are 100% African American populations, and we're actually, I'm not sure if they're listening now, but we will be at Francis Marion and Sumter Central High Schools this year, and those are in the middle of the Black Belt of Alabama, and not far from we're probably about an hour and a half from here, and near Selma. So those are the counties that we're in there, and we're also in some of the inner cities of throughout Alabama. So it's really diverse. We have a rural, urban, kind of mixture with all kinds of different diversity that you would not see in the CSA. I can guarantee you that.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have a question from Michael. So he was asking, will the lessons and materials posted here on Piazza still be up in the future? It'd be great to check back as a reference tool later.
Right. So last year we ran the same course. We had a few problems, but we left it all up. So all of the slides and you could actually go and find all the slides and videos. Some of you have already subscribed to our YouTube channel. There's over 100 videos out there. We're trying to work on playlists. But yeah, we'll keep all this up, and our eventual goal, we also will post a lot of this onto the CS10K community site. And we will eventually, our new projects, we're calling it CSP4HS. So we want to develop a rich curriculum also beyond just these little lesson plans we have here and there. So yeah, our goal is, we want to share this. So anything we have, we're glad to share, and we'll keep this, we'll keep the course up, we'll keep the resources up, and we'll even add to them. So last year, we even continued throughout the entire year and posted to Piazza. And one of the things we're really improving this year that we dropped the ball on last year is a pacing guide. So we actually right now I'm editing it this weekend for delivery next week. We have a full pacing guide for all, let's say, 36 weeks of the school year here. And what we suggest you do in week 1, week 2, and all 50 of our Alabama teachers will be looking at that. And we're certainly going to share that out with you too. So those kind of things we're really willing to share, and we're excited. We're honored that you would be interested in some of this stuff, and we're happy to let it out. So Myra asked, during the course, will you be discussing teaching strategies for the less able students? So topics of differentiated learning. Let me. I'm assuming that's maybe what you mean. If you're asking about accessibility for those who may have a disability, we're also working to get Richard Ladner from the CS10K Access to come on and give a talk about students who have accessibility needs. Maybe a student who's special needs or has maybe a blind student or someone who has a vision impairment or other kinds of needs. That's also we're working on. But if you're looking or discussing about differentiation in your classroom, the curriculum modules that I mentioned in lesson 1.5, they very specifically say throughout those different activities ways to differentiate the activity in your classroom. So that might be something to look at if you haven't seen that yet. Those are on the site that Andy Kimmel moderates. There's one point in Unit 1.5 that I refer to the curriculum modules. These are like, I think they used to be like the AP teaching modules. So there's like 4 of those, and they're each 40 or 50 pages long, full of all kinds of activities, and there's differentiation strategies there. We won't do a whole lot of those here. There is one, if you just noticed, about the graph paper programming. So if we were in a classroom that had some students who were really advancing fast, we could show them the Lego example of building a 3-dimensional. I'm not sure if you saw that unit yet, but it's in lesson 3.1. I mean, maybe it's in 3.2. I'm forgetting now. But it's one of the graph paper programming exercises. So Myra, I'm not sure if that answers your question. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about differentiation or other strategies, but the curriculum modules are full of examples. Okay, our YouTube numbers are going down. I know a Friday afternoon is not the best time to do some of this. We had some challenges in our schedules this week that we can only do it at this time on Friday. If anyone thinks this is a good format to occasionally do a Hangout on air where you all join us, let us know and we'll do more of these. We also have the other Hangouts where you come on and it's not broadcast on YouTube for the whole world to see. I mean, you all here now are going to be broadcast out onto YouTube. So Barbara, keep smiling. You're going to be on our channel. If it's a more private kind of setting for a Hangout, we can do those as well. So we want to make sure you give us feedback on this. Kathy asked what's the name of the CSP Project Lead the Way course. It's called CSE. That's one you want to look for. And Bennett Brown, we just confirmed, will be coming on the first week of July when we get back. I think it's either that Monday or Tuesday. So the whole Project Lead the Way computer science pathway will be discussed there with a special focus on the CS Principles course that Project Lead the Way offers. So I'm sure we'll get all kinds of details about the whole, availability and costs and some of the things that they're offering with Project Lead the Way too. And we're working to have Brooke Osborne and Baker Frankie from Code.org also come on later, so you'll be able to hear the cool things that Code.org has, and that's actually part of the delay of Unit 2.3, 2.4. We have some insight into that, and we're preparing. Brooke and Baker gave us access to some things we want to show you, and the videos are just a little bit delayed. I apologize for that. Some questions about Code.org and sharing the training centers. Code.org has a district model, so a lot of the training that Code.org will be doing is centered around those school districts or those areas that have contracts with Code.org. So they're expanding what that means. So you may want to take that up with someone at Code.org. I think there's a web. I don't know offhand, but there's a web page that talks about district affiliations, and that's something that you can ask Brooke and Baker. Probably in mid-July, we'll be bringing them on, maybe even live from the CSTA conference. So if any of you are at the CSTA conference, make sure you stop by and say hello. We may even do one of these things live there. That'd be kind of fun at the CSTA conference to have some of you out there stop by like a booth or a little table or something and say hello. Our YouTube viewers are going down, and it's almost 4:30 here, 5:30 on the East Coast. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. So I'm going to stop the broadcast, and just want to thank you all for coming online. And a little bit of an experiment. So let us know how you think it went, and we'll catch you online. There'll be some more units and lessons in Unit 3 coming out, and I'm hoping make sure you watch this new Unit 2.3 and Unit 2.4. I think you're going to like some of this stuff. Some of it's kind of fun. So we'll see you online, and you all have a good weekend. Bye-bye.